Hello, ladies and gentlemen, I'm Dreamality. Welcome to my review of State of Decay 2. Is this game worth your money? Is it worth your time? That's the question I'm here to help answer. Let's begin by breaking down the story.
The brass pulled the whole op. The army's gone, my friend. Except for the few misguided fools who thought they could still do some good here.
You begin by choosing a duo. Each has their own backstory. The backstory is only present during the game's opening tutorial. From a story perspective, the game lacks any substance, whether it's through dialogue or plot. What is here is a group of people trying to survive a zombie apocalypse. That's it. The story motivation behind some of the missions include a survivor looking for the greatest song lyrics of all time, and a survivor feeling the need to drive a fast car. The characters are voiced, giving them a bit of a personality. They don't speak much, and when they do speak, it's nothing meaningful. I am happy they're voiced, and that bit of personality does add some flavor to the experience. The little bits of story the game tells you aren't interesting. This is definitely a create your own adventure by how you play. My first playthrough of State of Decay 2, playing entirely solo and taking my time, took me about 17 hours to beat. The game also features online co-op. Up to 4 players can play together. When you complete the tutorial, there are 3 maps to choose from. If you don't go through the tutorial, you're thrown on a random map. One of the first things to do is establish your base. Later on, when you have enough influence points, which is the game's currency you get by playing the game, you can move to a larger base. Bases have a number of small and large building spaces. There's a good amount of buildings to choose from. For example, you can build an infirmary to heal the wounded, a farm to resupply food, or a workshop to create and repair items. With the right resources, buildings can be upgraded, and some require a survivor with a specific trait. I like this base building element of the game, however, I wish there was more to it. The buildings give off noise, so from time to time a group of zombies will attack your base. I thought it was cool seeing all of my survivors working together and fighting them off, but these attacks made me wish I could set up traps and fortifications around the base. The morale of your survivors is determined by a number of factors, such as quantity of resources, number of infestations piling up, and sometimes it can be due to a random event, like 2 survivors got in an argument. Having good morale gives you some productivity bonuses, and everyone at base expresses their happiness. They'll say, "I love it here." The conversation changes if the morale is poor. There is resource management. You need to keep an eye on your medical supplies, food, ammunition, fuel, and building supplies. Your buildings and survivors consume resources. Sometimes you'll get a random message saying something went wrong, like ants got into your food and now you lost some resources. The entire time I was playing, I was always running dangerously low on one resource. It would vary, and it would force me to leave my base in search of supplies. Rucksacks carry a specific resource, and by depositing them in your base, you get a nice boost of that resource. Another way to stay ahead of losing resources is by claiming outposts. Outposts are areas, buildings, or houses you clear of zombies and claim for yourself. This is now a safe place to swap characters, go through your inventory, and by claiming it, you get a passive reward. For example, by claiming a medical outpost, I was gaining 1 additional medical resource per day. The number of outposts you can have at a time is limited, but you can always drop one for another to meet your needs. The rucksacks must be dropped off at your home base. You can carry only 1 rucksack at a time, so after scavenging, I would store them in my car's trunk. Running back and forth from my car to deposit the rucksacks got irritating quickly. Scavenging is a very large part of State of Decay 2. I really enjoy scavenging in games, especially when the items I can find are useful, as is the case here. You can find resources to upgrade your base, health and stamina items for your survivors, weapons, fuel and repair kits for vehicles, items to trade with other communities. There's a bunch of stuff. I do appreciate the game lets the player know of potential resources in an area and how many containers there are to search. I always feel the need to search everything. Which brings me to one of many annoying things about this game. It takes far too long to search containers. Get used to seeing that icon, because you're going to be seeing it a bunch. Speeding up the search time is an option. However, there's a catch. By speeding things up, your character runs the risk of getting jammed, which causes noise.
loud. Zombies incoming.
That beautiful sound summons a group of zombies to your location, and now you gotta fight them off. Most of the time before entering that building, you just fought off a bunch of zombies. Now you have to fight off more because you lacked the patience to wait through one loading screen after the other, after the other, after the other. It doesn't make sense. Is everything padlocked in this world? How does it take so long to open up a fridge door?
That just rang the dinner bell.
The search time doesn't add anything positive to the gameplay experience. It feels like it's there just to waste the player's time. Your characters can hold as much as their pockets and backpacks can fit. Supplies are everywhere. Almost always I didn't have enough room to carry everything, so I would fill up my car as much as I could. I would also always bring an additional character with me when I would go scavenging and fill up their pockets and backpack with supplies. You can only enlist one follower, which is disappointing. Cooperative play offers up to 4 players. Why can't an offline solo player have a party of 4? The game doesn't keep track of the resources you found in a building or house. Like I said, I didn't have the space to collect everything. Sometimes I didn't need a specific item, so I wouldn't pick it up. Eventually, I would need those supplies and not remember where they were. Or I would revisit a house and waste time checking containers because I couldn't remember what was in them. I think it would be great if after searching containers it would show on your map when selecting that house or building the items that are still there. Unlike the padlocked fridges, this would make sense. You're trying to survive a zombie apocalypse, of course you're going to want to keep track of where everything is. And this is convenient for the player. Resources are finite, so eventually you will run out. After collecting all of the supplies in a house, they will never respawn. Eventually you have the option to move from one map to another. But by doing that, you're almost restarting your game. You do keep all of your resources, supplies, and characters, but you lose all of your Plague Heart progress, which is one of the main goals of the game. If that sounds okay with you, you just want to keep surviving, well, there's your option. Aside from the tutorial and first couple of missions, the rest of the missions are optional. Survivors have specific missions for them, and once you take control of that survivor, you can't swap characters without abandoning the mission. Many times I wanted to switch to the character I enlisted to follow me, because I wanted to fill their backpack and pockets with supplies. But by swapping characters, you abandon the mission. This made me realize the game lacks a trading system between the members of your community. Trading would also be great for when you're at your base. At your base, characters will heal, and they require rest, so you're going to be swapping characters often. There were many times I wanted items another character was holding, which meant I had to swap to that character, drop items in the inventory, swap to the character I wanted to play as, go back to the inventory and pick up the items. It isn't efficient. And the funny thing is, there's already a trading system in the game. You can trade with everyone who's not part of your community. Just copy and paste that feature, make some tweaks to get rid of the influence points, and boom, problem solved. Shouldn't be too difficult. Another problem I have with being locked into missions is your characters will become tired and they need rest. The more tired they become, the less stamina they have. There is no way of knowing how close your character is to entering that tired state, but once they do, it only gets worse. There are only 2 ways to combat exhaustion: using items or leaving your character at your home base. You won't always have those stamina replenishing items on you, so the most common solution will be swapping your character out and leaving him at your base. You see the problem here? Your character needs rest, so you have to swap characters to heal him. But if you swap characters, you abandon the mission. I would agree with it if I could have the characters sleep, otherwise it's just a bizarre choice in game design. Aside from the 2 main missions required to beat the game, the rest of the missions feel like pointless filler. The only time I felt I was impacting the game world was when I focused on fixing the morale of my community, but that wasn't related to the missions. The missions are dull, repetitive, and the rewards offered can be claimed by other means. Knowing a lot of these missions don't matter kills the experience. Through your radio, other communities or random survivors will contact you requesting assistance. By helping other communities, they can become potential allies. You can trade with them, and if you have a great relationship with them, you can recruit some members to your community. Other communities can either be allies, neutral, or hostiles. Hostile communities will attack you if they see you. I love the concept of other communities inhabiting this map, trying to survive. Unfortunately, how it's handled here is a miss. I hardly ever saw hostile communities while playing. The map shows you where each base is, but the members only stay at the base. They don't attack your base. They don't explore the map. I felt no incentive to take them out. Why waste the resources? Neutral and ally communities stay at their base as well, and they are always asking for something. They need help fighting off zombies, or they need a generator, but you can't ask them for help. I would have liked to ask for help fighting plague hearts or defending my base. For the most part, it felt like a one-way relationship. If I didn't help them, they would get angry, leave the map, or turn into hostiles. But again, the hostiles are no threat, so it didn't matter. I think it would be great to see survivors, both friendly and unfriendly, exploring the map randomly from time to time, and you, the player, decide what to do with them. There are scripted encounters you can choose to take part in. On the radio, you'll hear survivors requesting help with something. Helping them gives you rewards, and sometimes you can ask them to join your community. I did enjoy these because everything they needed help with was very close to their location. It was a good reward for the little time it took. The combat is very simple. Running and attacking depletes stamina. One button to attack using melee weapons. I would try to perform stealth kills as often as I could. I tend to enjoy a stealth-like approach in games. There are a couple of benefits to being stealthy. Unless you're directly in front of a zombie while prowling, most of the time you're gonna go unnoticed. Regular attacking makes noise, attracting other zombies. A stealth kill is an instant kill, which is useful because weapons do break in this game. The more you use a weapon, the more damaged it becomes until it eventually breaks. Weapons can be repaired, but require crafting materials and a workshop. Each character has their own stats. The more you use them, they'll level up, and you can pick different perks. The game auto-saves very often, and there is permadeath. Once your character dies, say goodbye because that character is staying dead. The map also shows you where that character died, which I think is a nice touch. Permadeath adds a lot of fun to the experience. There were many times I would go out on what I believed was going to be a quick and easy run. Okay, it isn't that far, I think I'll be okay. And eventually, I would find myself in a bad position. I would find myself swarmed by a horde of zombies, not knowing if my character was going to make it out. I would feel tense driving back to my base with the sun setting and fuel running low. Still having a ways to go, I would think to myself, please let me get back in time. It's that risk that made the game fun. The unknown of what lied ahead, as well as if I would survive it. There are a couple of different enemy types. Regular zombies are the most common. They are just about everywhere, giving little breathing room to the player. They either roam by themselves or in hordes. One is easy to take down, but when 10 are swarming you, it becomes a bit more complicated, mostly because you'll find yourself running out of stamina. Then there are some special zombies. A screamer, you guessed it, will scream. If it spots you attracting zombies, it's best to take those out first if you can. On the map, you'll find infestations. These are buildings or houses overrun by zombies. The map will tell you how many zombies there are and what kind. It's always a combination of regular zombies and 1, 2, or 3 screamers. Infestations spread from one building to another. By destroying them, you boost your community's morale. I enjoyed the infestations at first, but they got repetitive. Even after destroying all of them, eventually a new infestation will form, causing the cycle to begin anew. Bloaters are zombies that explode into a cloud of poisonous gas. Barrels are fast, like really fast. They run on all fours and take a while to kill. Juggernauts are your worst enemy. These massive zombies will charge you. They are very difficult to kill, do a ton of damage, and will rip you apart if you get too close. I do like the different kinds of zombies. They definitely spice things up. If there is ever another State of Decay, I would like to see more. Plague zombies are created by plague hearts. These are the zombies that can infect your characters. Creating the cure is very easy. The requirements are easy to gather, making infections not the least bit threatening, which is a shame. By clearing out plague hearts, you also get rid of plague zombies. Here's how you win the game. You win by clearing the town of plague hearts and establishing your leader's legacy. These are the only 2 missions that matter. Plague hearts are scattered around the map. You need to destroy the heart while waves of plague zombies attack you. With every plague heart destroyed, the others grow stronger, though I noticed very little difference. You're told early on the plague heart's weakness, and by using that method, destroying them felt too easy. In order to establish a legacy, one character must first become the community's leader. The more you use a survivor, the more actions they perform, the more reputation they gain. They work their way up from being a recruit to a citizen to a hero. After achieving the hero status, they are eligible to become the community's leader. You can only choose one leader, and the only way to replace that leader is by exiling them, or if they get killed. Each character offers perks if they're the leader, and they each have a set legacy. They can either be a warlord, sheriff, builder, or trader. After establishing your leader, there are a couple of missions you have to do. It's about an hour's worth of work, and that's it. Once you destroy all the plague hearts and complete those legacy missions, it's game over. You can start a new community, but this time you can activate up to 2 legacy cards that offer perks for your next playthrough. Having beaten the sheriff legacy, I can now have loot delivered to my base daily, making surviving easier. If you want to get all 4 legacy cards, try out the 3 maps. There's a good amount of replay value here. I did have fun with most of my first playthrough, however, I don't see myself replaying the game anytime soon. Playing on the Xbox One X, the game looks okay. It's filled with clunky animations. There are no weather changes, it's just a day and night cycle. There is no way to speed up time. I do feel at nighttime the game is a bit too dark. This lack of visibility is intentional. It didn't stop me from playing, but I can see it bothering some players. I do like the layout of the map and how the player is told of potential resources in a building, but many of the other game's menus could use a cleaner look. Performance-wise, the frame rate is very inconsistent. Playing solo, it's pretty poor, but playing with others online, it is horrible. I also ran into crashes trying to play with others online. Hopefully with time that can get fixed. While playing solo, I only ran into one game-breaking bug. Whenever you find yourself literally stuck in the environment, there's a free feature on your radio that will get you out of that mess. I only had to use it once, but I appreciate that it's there. State of Decay 2 is at its best when the player has the freedom to decide how they want to survive. The game tells the player their choices will have consequences, however, I hardly felt that was true. I did have some fun with the game. I think there's a lot that can be improved and built on. I would like to see more options for your base. I want to build traps for those zombie attacks. I want hostile communities to have a presence in this world, not stay cooped up in their base. I want more of an incentive to have allies. Right now it's a one-way relationship. Trading with members of your community is a must. I enjoy scavenging and the resources are useful, however the search time takes way too long. Aside from killing plague hearts and establishing your legacy, missions feel like they don't matter. It's all filler. The game right now isn't very polished. State of Decay 2 is a mediocre game. It isn't good, it isn't bad. I played through Game Pass. If it looks fun, if it looks interesting to you, that's the way to do it. You have heard my thoughts, now it's time to share yours. If you played the game, let me know what you think. If you haven't, how does it look? I hope this review was helpful, maybe a little bit enjoyable. If you have any questions, feel free to ask. And of course, thanks for watching. Just a couple more things here. If you missed my last video, I reviewed Hellblade: Senua's Sacrifice. A very unique and dark game. If you haven't checked it out, highly recommend doing so. My next review is going to be of Detroit: Become Human. I'm getting on that right away, so stay tuned. And that about does it. I will see you all soon, and thanks again.